So there are three levels of forgiveness. Okay, this is like daily life, because it doesn't exist a human being that we don't have people who have wronged us, right? Wronged us. They've terrible thing. You know, there's a story. There were two Hasidim of the Alter Rebbe who were business partners, and one time the Russian government realized that something was wrong, and they accused them of doing something wrong. And one of the partners said, to himself, instead of us both, taking the fall, he blamed it on his friend. They basically did nothing wrong, but he blamed it all on his friend. And so the Russians arrested his friend, and his friend went to jail. And Russian jails, no jokes, this is not America, it's real problems. He went to jail for 2 years. And all the while, the chassid knew it was his friend who did it to him. Came back after 2 years, and he realized that his partner was arrested literally the month before for something else. He was arrested and went to jail. So how would you feel about that partner? A normal person would feel, serves him right. Great. Revenge. Or if you don't actively take revenge, but you think, oh, Hashem punished him. This partner went to the wife of this guy who went to jail, and he said, how are you supporting yourself? She says, I'm struggling because my husband's in jail. He says, until your husband comes back from jail, I will support you. All your needs are on me. That's what he said to the wife of the person who put him in jail for 2 years. When the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Tanya, heard of this, he was so happy. It caused him so much nachas, so much joy, that he added a few lines in chapter 12 of Tanya, which discuss the story of Joseph. Joseph was a person who had his brothers wrong him. Can you imagine? I mean, we all have, right? Somebody in South Africa would say faribbled. Like in every shul in South Africa, you have a faribble. Faribble means you have an argument. Jews, we love to faribble with each other. We love to argue, right? You have a coworker, you have a friend. You have a friend you don't talk to on principle. This person on principle needs to be taught a lesson, and therefore I cannot talk to her. On principle. It's not that I don't mind talking to her, but on principle I cannot. Principle. Joseph was wronged, right? We know the story. His mother died when he was 9 years old. His brothers sold him in slavery after trying to murder him. And for 22 years he was languishing in a foreign country. And after 22 years he had the power, he had the capacity to take revenge because he was a viceroy of Egypt. And his brothers expected that. And what does he tell them? He doesn't take revenge. What does he tell them? Why doesn't he take revenge?
God's plan.
He said, I wasn't sold. I was sent by God. Every morning he woke up and he said, was I sold or was I sent? Sold connotes you are a victim. Sold connotes that somebody sold you. You are a victim. He said, I'm not a victim. It was Hashem's plan. Everything that happens in our life is from God. We need to internalize that. We need to bring that into our heart and souls and our psyche and believe it. Everything is divine providence. Everything. The fact that we're all sitting here now is divine providence. There doesn't exist anything that happens without Hashem. So he says, oh, it's from Hashem. And that gave him the power, the ability to not blame them and not take revenge. And if Joseph didn't take revenge on his brothers, then there's no human being that should take revenge on somebody else who had wronged you. There's no such a thing. And this now brings us to the three levels of forgiveness. When somebody wrongs you, tzvi, one way of forgiveness is, you know what? I'll forget about it. You stole $1,000 from me. I forget about it. I was renting an apartment from you and you overcharged me. I forget about it. You are a miserable human being who really destroyed my life in college. I will forget about it, and I will forgive. Right? That's level number one. It's wonderful. Level number two is level of Abraham. That not only you forgave and you forget about the other person, but you also pray for them. Level number one is, I want nothing to do with you. I forgive you. I forget about you. I don't want to hear about you. You live your life in China. I'll live my life in New York. Don't bother me. Don't attend the same shul as I do. Don't have the same circle of friends. Like if you come to the wedding, I won't be there. I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to take revenge. Level number two is, I actually pray for you. I want you to become better. Abraham's wife was kidnapped. She was a hostage, but I prayed for him. The level number three is the level that Moses teaches us. Level number 3 is the person who stole $1,000 from you. You forgive them, you pray for them, and then you become best friends with them again, as if nothing happened. That's why Rashi says, we learn, Vayitpalel Moshe be'ad ha'am, Moses davened for the people, and he became one with them, and he loved them with all his heart and with all his soul. Because that is the greatest level of forgiveness, where you go back to the way it was to the person who wronged you. That's what Joseph did. That's what Moses did. And that's why we learn forgiveness from there. The Torah tells the story of Rabbi Abba, a sage. One time was walking on the street and he sees a Jew lying down asleep. And as he's sleeping, he sees a snake, a big poisonous snake about to bite him. And the guy is sleeping, he has no idea, and a rock comes and falls from nowhere and hits the snake on the head and kills him. And he sees the Jew's life was saved. Wow, he's watching there. Anyway, he's eating his lunch somewhere. Whatever. Anyway, the Jew wakes up, and as he wakes up and moves 2 feet, whatever, there was the log that he was lying on suddenly cracks and the whole thing falls down. And had he lain there for another 2 seconds, he would have died. So he saw his life was saved twice. So he calls over the Jew and he says, Rabbi, you know your life was saved twice, once by a snake and once because you didn't fall down. Tell me about your life. Is there anything good that you do? Anyway, he talks to him and he discovers that this Jew, every night before he goes to bed, we say this actually in our Kriyat Shema al Hamita, in our prayers. Before we say the Shema, we say every night, Hareini Mochel, I hereby forgive every single person who wronged me. So he says to Rabbi, I truly think about those words, I meditate and contemplate, and anybody who did anything wrong to me, I forgive them with all my heart and soul, and in my mind, I'm best friends with them, no matter what. And Rabbi says, in that zchut, in that merit, wow, you are saved. Your life is saved. And how do we do this? Because when you look at a Jew, you see a Jew, Shlomo, and you think to yourself, externally, yeah, he's a terrible guy. Externally, he's a terrible guy. But internally, he's such a good guy. He's a neshama, he's a godly soul. The problem is, we look at people the other way around. We say, this guy deep inside is a terrible person. He's an evil person. He's a wicked person. That's the guy that I'm principled, I don't talk to. But the truth is, you're not looking at the person properly. God looks at a person externally, yeah, you're a little grumpy, and you're depressed, and you're angry. But that's not who you are. Internally, you're a precious gem. You're a diamond inside of you. So look at the other person the way God looks at them. There was once a couple who couldn't have children. They didn't have children. And they went to the doctors and there was no medical reason for it. And they asked the Rebbe for a blessing. And here's what the Rebbe told them. He said to the guy, could it be that you once dated a girl and you committed to marry her, you got engaged, and maybe you gave her a gift, and then you canceled the engagement? Could it be that you did not ask her for forgiveness? And the guy thought, and he said, yes, that's exactly what happened. A couple of years ago, I dated a girl. I liked her, she liked me, I thought we would marry. We got engaged, we said a l'chaim. I gave her a gift, and then for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So we canceled the marriage. Happens very often actually. So he said to the Rebbe, what should I do now? Because the Rebbe said, this is the reason why you're not having children. Because there's something called a kpeda. Kpeda, you know what a kpeda is? What's the exact translation? Kpeda is a?
Measure for measure.
Not the exact word. Kpeda is like, there's like this heavenly kpeda. Somebody is makbid, is like, you know? They what? What's the exact translation? Somebody is like, it's a blockage, but it comes from a kpeda. Kpeda is somebody is harbors this thing against you. While you look it up on ChatGPT, harbors this thing against you.
Grudge?
A grudge. It's a grudge, but it's more than a grudge. It's a kpeda. A what? Resentment is more of an exact translation. Yeah, better translation, yes. Like a resentment, a grudge against you. Is that what ChatGPT says? Yeah.
Carefulness.
Carefulness is no. ChatGPT is a good guy, but he's, you know, Oh, Google Trust, forget about that. That's got nothing on ChatGPT. Anyways, so the Rebbe says, in life, nothing is too late. If you wronged somebody, even if it was 20 years ago, you can still fix it, no problem. Call that person up, not you, but through a third party. It shouldn't be you directly, and ask them to ask that girl for forgiveness. Simple as that. So he said to the Rebbe, but how will I know that she forgives me? And here's what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said, if she forgives you with all her heart and soul, like on the level of Moses, right? Not that, oh, I forgive you. Not on the level of Abraham that I prayed for you, but on the level that truly I feel nothing. I'm like, I mean, obviously, it's not appropriate for a boy and a girl who are dating, especially to be in touch. It's not appropriate for any boy and girl to talk about anything ever, right? Unless you have a business relationship, which even then you should be whatever. But that's for another topic at a time. But through a third party, tell her she's looking for her own spouse. She's looking for a shidduch and she hasn't been able to find one. Tell her if she forgives you with all her heart and soul, she will find her spouse. So he called a mutual acquaintance and he said, I want to talk to you and ask you to ask the girl for forgiveness. And he says, you won't believe it, but she's here right now. I'll ask her right now. And then he tells her, tell her that the Rebbe said that if she forgives me with all my heart and soul, the Rebbe said she'll find her spouse. And she thought about it because it's very difficult to forgive somebody who really, especially in a relationship, you loved the person, you thought they would marry you, you dreamed of your wedding and, boom, nothing's happening. She thought about it and she truly worked on herself and she said, I forgive you with all my heart and soul. Needless to say, the couple had a child within a year and she found her spouse and got married shortly after. Because there was no kapeda. The resentment, the grudge was gone. That spiritual blockage was gone. Because this is what happens when you forgive and forget. When you learn how to live with another Jew. By the way, it's the same thing with Hashem. We all mess up. We all sin. All of us sin. Some of us every day. Some of us 15 times a day. Some of us 100 times a day. We all sin. But what happens is the next morning, we say to ourselves, here I am, God. I'm a human being. You created a human being, not ChatGPT, not a robot. I'm a human being. And so I have disadvantages. I sinned. And God said, you know what? I'm going to look at you internally, the internal you, the good you. I'm going to forgive you. So God chooses to forgive us every single day. We ask for God in our prayers. Slach lanu avinu ki chatanu. Forgive us, God, for we have sinned. We say that every single day in our prayers. What does it mean, forgive us? And God forgives us. So we should use the same forgiveness that God forgives us to other people. And that's the idea to forgive everybody. And when I end off with the final story, we all know Iris Chaim, her child was in captivity as a hostage. And as they were able to escape the Hamas captors, and they went out and they started to wave a flag, and the IDF soldiers thought that they were terrorists, they thought it was a setup, and the IDF soldiers shot them dead. And some people told her, oh, the IDF soldiers, they are traitors, they should be da-da-da-da-da-da. And during the Shiva, she said, those IDF soldiers, the one who killed my children, I want to hug them. They are not murderers. They are tzaddikim. They did their best. The only people who I'm upset with is Hamas. The only people who should be punished for this are Hamas, not the IDF soldiers who tried their best. And that's how we need to live our lives. Live and let live. So there's two concepts we learned tonight. Number one is the idea of balak, of the idea of something bad happens to you. It's the greatest thing there is. It's good. And the other idea is the art of forgiveness.